4-13. That's the number Le'Veon Bell dropped like a grenade into Steelers Nation. And once he said it, there was no taking it back. A proud franchise, 6 Lombardi trophies, decades of stability, and now a former superstar running back is predicting a full-blown collapse before the new head coach even shakes hands with his locker room. This isn't just a hot take. This is a fracture line running straight through Pittsburgh, and today we're breaking down why this hire has already lit a firestorm, why Le'Veon Bell is defending Mike Tomlin like family, and why this moment could quietly redefine the future of the Steelers in ways fans aren't ready for yet. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The Mike Tomlin era didn't end with a press conference. It ended with a feeling that something foundational had been ripped out of the Steelers' identity. 19 years. No losing seasons. 1 Super Bowl ring, 2 appearances, countless playoff runs, and an unbreakable reputation as the ultimate player's coach. When Tomlin walked away earlier this month, he didn't just leave a vacancy. He left a power vacuum. And into that vacuum stepped Mike McCarthy. On paper, the resume looks fine. A Super Bowl ring with Green Bay. Years of experience. Big market pressure in Dallas. But Steelers football has never been about paper. It's been about culture. And that's exactly why Le'Veon Bell reacted the way he did when ESPN's Adam Schefter broke the news that McCarthy would be the next head coach in Pittsburgh. Bell didn't hedge. He didn't wait. He didn't try to be diplomatic. He went straight for the jugular. 4-13 incoming. But hey, at least Mike Tomlin isn't the coach of the Steelers anymore, right? That sentence did more than criticize a hire. It questioned the entire direction of the franchise. It asked whether the Steelers, in trying to move forward, actually took a step backward. And it reopened old wounds about loyalty, leadership, and how Pittsburgh treats its stars. Le'Veon Bell knows this organization from the inside. Drafted in the 2nd round in 2013, he didn't just become a Pro Bowler. He became the engine of the offense. Patient running style. Elite vision. Receiving skills that blurred the line between running back and slot receiver. At his peak, Bell wasn't just one of the best backs in football. He was the system. And at the center of that system stood Mike Tomlin. Players loved Tomlin because he trusted them. He empowered them. He protected them publicly, even when criticism was loud. For Bell, Tomlin wasn't just a coach. He was an anchor during the most productive years of his career. So when Tomlin left after 19 seasons, Bell took it personally. And when McCarthy was announced as the replacement, Bell saw it not as a fresh start, but as a downgrade. To Bell, McCarthy represents something Steelers fans fear, but don't always say out loud. A move away from identity. A move toward safe, corporate football. A move toward the kind of coaching that looks good in press conferences, but struggles to inspire belief when adversity hits. And that belief matters more in Pittsburgh than almost anywhere else. Steelers fans pride themselves on toughness, loyalty, and continuity. That's why the backlash came fast. One fan fired back at Bell on X, accusing him of hypocrisy. Accusing him of abandoning Tomlin when things got complicated. "You left Tomlin, shut up." That comment lit the fuse. Bell didn't back down. He didn't soften his response. He went straight at the accusation, and then some. He clarified his position in the rawest way possible, reminding everyone that his contract dispute wasn't personal with Tomlin. It was business with the organization. "I didn't leave Tomlin. I left the Steelers." That distinction matters to Bell. Because in his mind, Tomlin was never the problem. The system was. The negotiation was. The unwillingness to value a generational running back beyond franchise tags was. When Bell refused to sign the 2nd franchise tag in 2018, worth $14.5 million, he wasn't rebelling against his coach. He was rebelling against a front office that, in his eyes, failed to commit. That decision changed everything. Bell sat out an entire season. The Steelers moved on. James Conner stepped in. The offense adapted. And Bell eventually walked in free agency in 2019. The relationship with the franchise never fully healed. But the bond with Tomlin? That stayed intact. Which is why Bell's defense of Tomlin today feels less like bitterness and more like loyalty. Now zoom out. Because this isn't just about Le'Veon Bell. It's about what Mike McCarthy symbolizes in this moment. In Green Bay, McCarthy was criticized for wasting prime Aaron Rodgers years. In Dallas, he was accused of lacking discipline, creativity, and situational awareness. Fair or not, that reputation followed him straight into Pittsburgh. Steelers fans watched Mike Tomlin squeeze competitive seasons out of flawed rosters. They watched him manage egos, survive quarterback transitions, and still avoid the one thing that would have shattered his legacy: a losing season. And now that constant is gone, McCarthy walks into a locker room still processing loss. Loss of leadership. Loss of familiarity. Loss of the one voice that had guided them for nearly 2 decades. That's not an easy first impression. And Bell's 4-13 prediction wasn't random. It was a warning, because when former players start openly questioning leadership before training camp even begins, that doubt doesn't stay on social media. It leaks into the building. It becomes whispers. It becomes side conversations. It becomes something McCarthy has to fight before he ever coaches a snap. And here's where the story gets uncomfortable. Le'Veon Bell might be wrong about the record, but he might be right about the risk. The Steelers are betting that experience alone can replace culture. They're betting that a Super Bowl ring from another era can command respect in a locker room shaped by Mike Tomlin's voice. They're betting that fans will accept a new identity because the old one simply ran its course. But what if it didn't? What if Tomlin walking away wasn't the end of an era, but the beginning of a regret? That's the question hanging over Pittsburgh right now. And it's the question Bell forced everyone to confront with one tweet. That there's also something poetic about Bell saying this now, from the outside, as a professional boxer. A man who reinvented himself after football. A man who took punches from fans, media, and front offices alike. He knows what it's like to be doubted. He knows what it's like to be told you're replaceable. And when he looks at Mike McCarthy, he doesn't see reinvention. He sees repetition. Steelers fans are split. Some see Bell as bitter. Others see him as honest. Some think McCarthy deserves a chance. Others fear the slow erosion of what made Pittsburgh different, and that tension isn't going away anytime soon. Because every loss next season will amplify Bell's words. Every questionable decision will bring that 4-13 prediction back into the conversation. And every win will be framed as McCarthy proving the doubters wrong. That's pressure. Real pressure. The kind that doesn't show up in preseason rankings. So now we ask you, was this the right move for the Steelers? Did Pittsburgh upgrade, or did they panic? And is Le'Veon Bell speaking from bitterness, or from a place of truth only former players can see? Drop your take in the comments. Because this story isn't finished. It's just getting started. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud yet, but it's already being felt inside that fan base. This hire didn't unite Pittsburgh. It split it. Quietly at first, then loudly. You can feel it in the tone of radio shows, the comment sections, the former players speaking up. When a franchise known for patience suddenly finds itself defending a decision before the season even starts, that's not stability. That's anxiety. Because for decades, Steelers fans didn't argue about the head coach. They argued about coordinators, quarterbacks, draft picks. But the head coach was sacred ground. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, 3 names across more than 50 years. That level of continuity is unheard of in the NFL. And now Mike McCarthy is being asked to step into that lineage like it's just another job. It's not. And Le'Veon Bell understands that better than most. He played under Tomlin when the locker room was stacked with personalities. Antonio Brown at his peak and his breaking point. Ben Roethlisberger commanding the huddle. Defensive leaders who demanded accountability. Tomlin wasn't just coaching plays. He was managing combustible elements every single week. And somehow, it worked more often than not. McCarthy doesn't inherit that same roster, but he inherits the expectations. The expectation that losing seasons are unacceptable. The expectation that players buy in immediately. The expectation that Steelers football looks and feels a certain way. Tough. Disciplined. Physical. Unified. That's why Bell's 4-13 comment hit so hard. Not because it's guaranteed, but because it suggests something Steelers fans fear deeply. That this team could become ordinary. In Green Bay, McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers. In Dallas, he had rosters loaded with talent. And yet, the postseason success never matched the hype. That narrative follows him. Fair or not, it's there. And in Pittsburgh, patience wears thinner when history looms larger. Bell's critics say he's just lashing out. That he burned bridges in Pittsburgh and now wants attention. But that argument ignores one key detail. Bell didn't attack the Steelers out of nowhere. He reacted to Tomlin leaving. His loyalty was clear. His frustration was specific. And when fans accused him of betraying Tomlin, his response wasn't revisionist. It was direct. He didn't leave the coach. He left the organization. That distinction matters more now than it did in 2018. Because Tomlin leaving validates part of Bell's long-held belief that the structure above the coach mattered more than people wanted to admit. That decisions were being made that didn't always align with the locker room. And now, with Tomlin gone, that tension is finally visible. Think about it. If Tomlin was truly the problem, wouldn't this moment feel hopeful? Wouldn't Steelers Nation be buzzing with excitement instead of bracing for impact? The mixed reaction tells you everything. And Bell, now far removed from NFL politics, doesn't need to protect relationships anymore. He's a boxer now. He lives in a world where blunt honesty is currency. When he says he expects failure, he's not doing PR. He's giving an unfiltered opinion shaped by years inside that building. That doesn't make him right, but it makes him credible. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Players still in the league are watching this closely. Former Steelers are watching. Free agents are watching. Coaching hires send messages. They signal direction. They signal philosophy. They signal whether a franchise is chasing the past or building the future. Mike McCarthy has to prove that he's not a nostalgia hire. He has to prove that he can adapt to today's NFL, not the one he won a Super Bowl in. He has to prove that he can command respect in a locker room that was shaped by one of the most respected coaches of this generation. That's a tall order. Every training camp speech will be compared. Every sideline moment will be dissected. Every loss will reopen the Tomlin debate. And every quote from former players like Le'Veon Bell will resurface, waiting to be proven prophetic or petty. That's the reality McCarthy signed up for. And for Steelers fans, the fear isn't just losing games. It's losing identity. Becoming another franchise cycling through coaches, chasing relevance, arguing about rebuild timelines. That's never been Pittsburgh. And the moment it becomes that something irreplaceable is gone. So when Bell says 4-13, he's not just predicting a record. He's challenging the Steelers to prove they still know who they are. And that's why this story matters more than a tweet, more than an argument on X, more than one former player's opinion. It's about a crossroads. About whether stability was sacrificed for change without a clear vision. About whether Mike Tomlin's departure will be remembered as necessary or devastating. Now it's on Mike McCarthy. To win early. To unite fast. To silence doubt not with words, but with results. Because in Pittsburgh, patience is earned, not given. And if the losses pile up, if the locker room fractures, if the culture slips even a little, Le'Veon Bell's words will echo louder every single week. So we'll ask you again, Steelers Nation and NFL fans everywhere. Was this the right move? Or did Pittsburgh just open the door to an era they swore would never happen? Sound off in the comments. Hotspot NFL is watching this unfold with you.